Good morning. Today's topic is habitats and characteristics of living organisms. What is a habitat? A habitat is a place which provides everything to the organisms which they need to live. Different type of plants and animals live in different habitats. Some of the example of habitats are forests, grasslands, deserts, oceans, ponds, etc. Now, why living organisms live in different habitats? Every organism have a unique ecosystem within which it lives. All organisms need to adapt to their habitat to be able to survive. This means adapting to be able to survive the climatic conditions of the ecosystem, the predators, the other species that compete for the same food and space. Types of habitat. Now, habitat is broken down into two subtopics. One is the terrestrial habitat, and one is the aquatic habitat. Under terrestrial habitat, we have deserts, mountains, and grasslands. Under aquatic habitats, we have oceans and ponds. Characteristics of living things. The first point under characteristics of living things is living things move on their own. Animals move in search of food and shelter and to escape from their enemies. Plants do not need to move around for food as they make their own food. Plants move towards the light. Some flowers close their petals at night. So, this is how plants move in order to make their food. The second point is living things need air, water, and food. Now, living things need air, water, and food to live. If they do not get these, they will die. Whereas non living things do not need these things. Most plants have a green substance called chlorophyll in their leaves. It helps them to make their own food using sunlight, carbon dioxide from the air, and water from the soil through the process of photosynthesis. Now, as you see in this slide, you can see the diagram and you can understand the process of photosynthesis. Continuing the second point. Now, after talking about plants, we'll talk about animals. Now, animals do not have chlorophyll, so they eat plants or other animals for food, unlike plants. Living organisms such as mushrooms do not have chlorophyll. They mostly grow on dead animals or plants and get their nutrients from them. So, this is how animals need air, water, and food, whereas plants acquire their air, water, and food through sunlight, soil, and water. Now, the third point, living things are made up of cells. Now, what is a cell? A cell is the smallest living part of a living thing. The bodies of living things are made up of cells. Most cells are so small that they can only be seen under a microscope. Our body contains millions of cells of different types. Some very small animals, such as amoeba, are made up of only a single cell. Coming to the fourth point, living things grow and change. For example, you look different now from what you were like when you were a baby. Your height and weight have increased since the time you were a baby. In a few years' time, you will become an adult. So, all this means that all living things grow and change from a certain period to a certain period of time. Ultimately, all living things grow old and die. Now, the fifth point, living things respond to changes. Let us understand this by a few examples. When you feel hot, you switch on the fan. When a dog feels hot, it takes short and quick breaths to keep cool. If you see someone throwing